The investigation into the motive behind the shootings of two Minnesota lawmakers is just beginning this morning. Last night, officers took this man, Vance Boelter, into custody. The local sheriff's office is calling him the face of evil. He's set to face charges against him this afternoon in court. Now, investigators tracked him down in Sibley County, Minnesota. This is a rural area more than an hour's drive southwest of where the shootings took place. CBS News' Naomi Ruchim is here with me in Studio 57 with more. This is a heart-wrenching sequence of events, Naomi. What are we learning?
Well, Errol, it's good to be with you. And as investigators build their case, they're working off whatever details they have this morning. We now know a list of about 70 names was found in the fake police car that was left at the crime scene. The list included many prominent lawmakers at both the state and federal levels, along with advocates for abortion rights. A stack of No Kings flyers was also found inside the vehicle. Those flyers, of course, reference the anti-Trump protests that happened nationwide on Saturday. But the suspect's exact political leanings are still unclear. Minnesota police say shooting suspect Vance Boelter was armed when he was taken into custody overnight with no use of force.
The suspect crawled to law enforcement teams and was placed under arrest at that point in time.
Brooklyn Park's police chief said a breakthrough came yesterday in the search after police found the suspect's abandoned car in rural Sibley County. Multiple law enforcement agencies descended on the area and built a perimeter until they were able to locate the suspect with the assistance of a helicopter and infrared technology. Police say they believe the suspect acted alone in the shootings.
We will put every ounce of effort that the state of Minnesota has to make sure that justice is served.
The 57-year-old suspect now faces murder charges in the shooting deaths of Democratic State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. A memorial of flowers on the steps of the state capitol have been placed in their honor. The suspect is also charged with attempted murder in the shootings of State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette. Both are now recovering from their injuries. And this is one of the most disturbing details. Investigators say the suspect was clearly impersonating a police officer, wearing a vest, a taser, and other police gear. His SUV looked exactly like a squad car with emergency lights, too. Police say the suspect had used the trust of his badge and uniform to manipulate his way into these homes. Errol?
Frightening. Naomi, thank you for that. Mary Ellen O'Toole joins us now. She's a retired FBI special agent and the director of George Mason University's Forensic Science Program. Good morning, Mary Ellen. What Naomi just outlined there really is chilling, this impersonation of a police officer allegedly by the suspect. We know that a list of 70 names, including prominent state and federal lawmakers, also found in some writings at the scene. What does all of that tell us about potential motives from this suspect?
Well, it certainly suggests that there was a lot of planning that went into it to include how can I get close enough up to the victims to make them think that I'm a police officer, so therefore they should open the door and they can trust me. So that is very manipulative, and it is very concerning because it does send a message to other people that might be considering acting out in the same way. But as far as the motive is concerned, they will look at each one of the people that have been listed on his list called the hit list to see what shared ideologies that they have. How do they overlap? And that will begin to give investigators the idea of really what led up to it. And at least in my experience, there's never one motive for something like this. So there will be multiple motives, whether it is anti-abortion or people that follow certain lifestyles. There's probably going to be a grouping of motives in terms of what he decided he needed to do to make sure that he could take care of these people in a way that was very fatal.
Now, beyond the horror for the actual victims and their relatives, this was a frightening weekend for folks in Minnesota, but the public actually helped the suspect get captured. How did that unfold?
It was really amazing, but not surprising, because when you have a crime like this that is so sensational, people want to help. And that was the one thing I think that was one of the lead reasons why he was apprehended so quickly, because no one was about ready to help him. So people were very on guard up there in that rural area. They had trail cameras. They were knowledgeable about the area, as was he, which is probably why he returned up there. But they were willing to call law enforcement and tell them, hey, I saw this, or hey, this seems to be unusual. People wanted this individual caught. And when you have a case like that, the public can be an amazing asset for law enforcement. And I think that's what you have there.
Mary Ellen O'Toole, great to have you on this suspect and what could be behind it, as well as the public's ability to capture the man. Thanks for joining us this morning.
You are welcome.
And a quick programming note for you all. Later this hour, we're taking a look at the apparent rise of political violence here in the U.S. and what may be behind it. And of course, we'll continue to bring you the newest information on the suspect and the case against him. But we want to make sure to highlight the victims here. Senator Amy Klobuchar shared this text exchange last night on Facebook with State Senator John Hoffman's wife, Yvette. Remember, both of them shot. Yvette telling Klobuchar, quote, "He took 9 bullet hits, I took 8, and we are both incredibly lucky to be alive." She went on to say, "There is never a place for this kind of political hate. Minnesotans are at our very best when we stand together." And those Minnesotans are mourning the loss of State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. People gathered to pay their respects at the state capitol yesterday, including many who didn't even know the Hortmans. Melissa Hortman was known for her years serving Minnesota. She was elected in 2004 and was in the middle of her 11th term. Hortman was the state's House Speaker up until recently, a position she held for 6 years. Hortman and her husband leave behind 2 children. CBS News Minnesota reporter Caroline Cummings, who covers the State House, posted this about Hortman, quote, "She was a devoted public servant who commanded respect but exuded humility. So many politicians are showboats. She never was." Hortman was 55 years old.